Egypt's foreign minister says Cairo working to de-escalate Middle East tensions, focus on Palestinian crisis. Turkey ends all commercial ties with Israel, bans ships and aircraft trade. And Russia criticizes Macron for calling Putin an ogre at our gates and calls the remark indecent. Egypt's Foreign Minister Badr Abdulati says Cairo is working tirelessly to de-escalate tensions in the Middle East, focusing on the Palestinian crisis. Minister Abdulati has condemned what he described as Israel's genocide, systematic starvation and daily raids in Gaza and the West Bank. He said Egypt and Qatar are coordinating with the U.S. to push for a ceasefire deal based on U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff's proposal, which Hamas has accepted. Talks also covered Syria, Lebanon, Sudan, Libya and the Iranian nuclear file, with both sides stressing unified positions against Israeli violations in the region. Canada has voiced strong support for Egypt's efforts to secure a Gaza ceasefire and deliver humanitarian aid. Canadian Ambassador Ulrich Shannon praised Cairo's firm stance against any displacement of Palestinians from Gaza. He highlighted close coordination between President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi and Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney, as well as ongoing consultations between the two nations. Shannon said Canada relies on Egypt's regional leadership and mediation to ease tensions and pursue peace. Turkey has officially ended all commercial ties with Israel. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan told Parliament Ankara has cut trade links, banned ships from heading to Israeli ports, and barred Israeli aircraft from Turkish airspace. Turkey has announced a full suspension of trade relations with Israel. Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan said the decision was taken as part of Ankara's response to developments in Gaza. Speaking at a special parliamentary session, he confirmed that Turkish ships are no longer permitted to dock at Israeli ports, and Israeli aircraft have been banned from Turkish airspace. The move marks one of Ankara's strongest actions yet against Tel Aviv since the escalation of the conflict.
İsrail'e silah ile mühimmat taşıyan konteyner gemilerinin ülkemiz limanlarına girmesine, uçakların ise hava sahamıza girmesine.
UNRWA warns intensified Israeli military operations in Gaza City would force up to 1 million people to flee, worsening the humanitarian crisis. The UN agency UNRWA has warned that escalating Israeli military aggressions in Gaza City could lead to the forced displacement of about 1 million people. In a statement on X, the agency said further escalation would deepen suffering and drive Palestinians closer to catastrophe as famine and shortage already grip the territory. The World Health Organization has said Gaza is facing critical shortages of medical supplies needed to treat a surge in Guillain-Barré syndrome cases, which has killed 10 people. The World Health Organization has warned of critical medical shortages in Gaza amid a rise in the syndrome cases, a rare paralysis causing condition. Since June, 94 cases has been documented resulting in 10 deaths, including 4 children under 15. Severe cases can cause near total paralysis and breathing problems. WHO says treatment is being severely constrained due to stockouts of essential medicines, leaving some patients without care. And for more analysis, we now move to Riham Morsi in our newsroom. To you, Riham.
To help us better understand the current humanitarian situation in Gaza, we're joined from Washington by the board-certified emergency medicine physician, Dr. Mimi Sayed. Thank you so much for joining us here on Qnews.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Firstly, let's start off by your visits to Gaza. You've had more than one visit there now. How do you describe the overall health situation in Gaza, especially for the children, given the malnutrition and the rampant famine that's taking place right now?
Yeah, I mean, the situation in Gaza has been deplorable for some time. None of us are surprised that there is a famine declared by the IPC. This has been going on for quite some time. We've been warning as healthcare professionals, WHO, everyone has been warning about this. So this is not a surprise. It didn't just sneak up on us. I myself, in December, started noticing signs of acute malnourishment in children with blotches of hair missing and hypopigmented skin, necrotic baby teeth. The situation has just significantly gotten worse as of recent because of the blockade of humanitarian aid. And now, blocking humanitarian aid staff, physicians, foreign physicians like myself from entering, just another insult on the healthcare system that's already been destroyed.
So you talked about the idea of being barred, but there are also other challenges on the ground when it comes to treating people there. And the WHO declared that there's a surge in Guillain-Barré syndrome cases. How critical is this? And given the shortages of essential medical supplies, how difficult is it to treat people with this syndrome?
Yeah, I mean, the supplies necessary for this to treat it. There's one of two. You can use IVIG and you can use plasma exchange filters for plasmapheresis. None of those things are available in Gaza. When I was going in, I was trying to take plasma exchange filters with me. But even more concerning is the cases of meningitis that we're seeing there because of overcrowding, because of terrible living conditions. Meningitis is also could be fatal. And so all of these things that are preventable, mind you, all of these things are preventable. If there was sanitation, clean water, space, and access to healthcare, then these things could be preventable. But also the treatment of such cases is impossible right now because the Israeli military is blocking everything from entering.
You even tried to have some stuff into the Gaza Strip. You tried to take some things with you in your suitcase, am I correct?
I had baby formula with me, plasma exchange filters, medications, vitamins for babies and for adults, and various other things like protein, things that are desperately needed right now. Of course, it wouldn't solve the starvation issues and the medical problems in Gaza, but it could have provided a little bit of relief for maybe even a person or two people.
So how has the ongoing conflict affected hospitals and clinics? Now, you talked about, a lack of medical supplies, but in general, everything in Gaza is in tatters. How has this, I suppose, depreciated the care that people could receive in Gaza?
Yeah, I mean, the Israeli military continues to destroy the healthcare system, right? Just a few days ago, we saw them bombing Nasser Hospital yet again. For how many times? I can't keep count anymore because they bomb the hospitals like a routine thing there. Bombing hospitals, I may remind everybody, is a war crime. They initially said that this was an accident, but then claimed that there were Hamas members. All of it is untrue. This was a calculated strike by the Israeli military, and just like every other time, every time something like this happens, they say it was a mistake. I think we need to start seeing through that.
So in your experience, when you were in Gaza, did you experience, or observe the intentional targeting of medical workers?
Absolutely. I met, healthcare workers that were imprisoned strictly because they were present in the hospital and working on October 7th. They had no charges against them. Not only were they imprisoned, they were tortured and they were released without any charge against them. This is so many dozens of healthcare workers that I met when I was there claiming the same thing. These are doctors, these are nurses. These are healthcare workers, first responders that are targeted. Every ambulance that I saw had a bullet hole in it that was damaged. And so healthcare workers and the healthcare system is completely targeted by the Israeli military, another ploy to destroy the healthcare system.
Now, on a broader scale, now, from your perspective, how effective is the current international response when it comes to addressing the medical and international crisis in Gaza?
Yeah, we've seen statements come out by organizations, and I think that the issue here is that no concrete action has been taken. I think sanctions need to be placed on Israel. Trade needs to be banned against Israel. There needs to be more collective global action that needs to be taken to stop this, because making statements is clearly not doing anything. It's not stopping the massacres that are happening. It's not stopping the starvation that continues to happen, and the complete eradication of the healthcare system. Nothing is being changed by these statements. We need we need action. We need a global action.
Well, now, in your time in Gaza, you've seen, I'm sure, a lot of cases, including children. Now, what is the long-term impact on a child's health, if there's shortages in food, medicine, and other essential things that will help a child basically grow?
Yeah, this is a very important point. We have seen things that are irreparable in children, right? When you have a baby inside in utero and mom is severely malnourished, which is stuff I was seeing when I was in December when I was there. Mother is severely malnourished, can't provide any, breast milk for her baby, but also there is no formula available for the baby, or it's too expensive. When these babies are being born preterm because of the terrible, post-war conditions or even war conditions, they don't have the supplementation that they need to develop. And when a baby is undergoing severe malnourishment this way in the early years of development, it can scar them and change them for life. Spina bifida is one of those things that we saw when there is a nutrient deficiency of folate and mom can't get folate. That's a very easy thing to fix with prenatal vitamins. Well, that wasn't available when I was there, and mothers were, having children with spina bifida. So this is going to debilitate. This is going to disable the child for the rest of their life. Yes. Not to mention the psychological impact this is having on children.
Since you were last there, things have deteriorated drastically, with over 320 famine-related deaths reported, including 121 children. What sort of immediate interventions could be done to prevent further fatalities? If we've reached, the fifth stage of famine, how can we help these kids recover?
Yeah, supplying aid is extremely important. Unlimited aid needs to be allowed in, but access to that aid needs to also be restored. The problem right now is we have these, inhumane foundations like the GHF that are shooting people when they try to go get the aid. They have installed only several, maybe one or two stations where people can access this safely. Airdrops are not safe. Airdrops are not efficient. So aid needs to be flooded in, but there also needs to be a permanent and sustained ceasefire, because access to this aid needs to also be replenished and also needs to be restored. People aren't able to get the aid safely, and so it's useless to just put aids and trickle it in drip feeding manners, because it's not getting to the people that need it.
Could you tell us a bit about your time there as an emergency doctor? What kinds of injuries did you see, other than the famine-related deaths? What sort of injuries did you see, or deaths that you saw during this ongoing war in Gaza?
Yeah, I was there in August last year and then December as well. And this is an intentional targeting of civilians. The Israeli military recently pointed out 85% of the casualties are civilians. And so the people that we saw were women and children. That continues to happen. Most of my colleagues coming out are reporting the same numbers. I saw mostly children. I saw children with gunshot wounds to the head, to the chest, to the neck. These are precision strikes against children. I saw children with brain matter out, with shrapnel injuries that, destroyed their skull, and so their brain was out. I saw many burns, severe burns in children. But we also saw, the results of deplorable living conditions like hepatitis A. When I was there in December, I saw cases of hypothermia of babies, of skin conditions and diarrhea leading to kidney failure. I mean, all of these things completely preventable.
Yeah, you paint a very dire picture there, but thank you so much for joining us. From Washington, that was a board-certified emergency medicine physician, Dr. Mimi Sayed. Thank you so much for joining us here on Qnews. Now we go back to you, Mona Masarhi, in our studio.
Thank you so much, Riham, for the analysis, and that was very live from their witness, an eyewitness, someone who's really has already worked there. This is a bare eyewitness to the cases there. We thank you so much, Riham, for this interview. I guess it's a kind of ringing bell to the conscience of the world. Back to our bulletin. The Israeli army says Gaza City is now a dangerous combat zone, ending a previous pause in military activities. Spokesperson Farah Drai cited political directives for the escalation. The Israeli army announced that the Gaza City has become the scene of intense military activity after ending a local tactical pause. Spokesperson Avichai Drai stated that following a situational assessment and political directives, the pause no longer applies from 10 a.m. today. The move comes amid warnings over the growing danger to civilians trapped in the conflict zone. Israel says it has recovered the bodies of 2 detainees during the military operation in Gaza City, including that of Ilan Weiss, killed in the October 7th attack. Israel announced the recovery of 2 bodies during its ongoing military operations in Gaza City. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office said one of the bodies belongs to Ilan Weiss from Kibbutz Be'eri, who was killed in the October 7th attack. The identity of the second body has not yet been confirmed. The announcement came as fighting in Gaza City intensifies amid continued Israeli military operations. Thousands of Houthi supporters protested to show solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza amid Israeli airstrikes targeting Houthi leadership. In Yemen's capital Sana'a, thousands of Houthi supporters staged a weekly protest in solidarity with Palestinians in Gaza. Demonstrators waved weapons and carried flags and placards as chants filled the street. The protest comes a day after Israeli fighter jets struck a Sana'a compound, targeting the Houthi chief of staff and defense minister in a complex operation aided by intelligence and air superiority. The UK says Israeli officials will not be invited to next year's Defence and Security Equipment International Arms Exhibition in London, set for September. A British government spokesperson confirmed that Israel will not be invited to the 2025 Defence and Security Equipment International Exhibition in London. The Ministry of Defence stated no Israeli government delegation will attend the arms fair scheduled for September as part of the UK's stance amid growing scrutiny over arms sales and military cooperation.
To do the detailed further work on that. That's really important for security in Ukraine, for security.
Gaza's health ministry says 5 people, including 2 children, have died of famine in the past 24 hours, bringing the toll to 322 since the start of the crisis. The Gaza Health Ministry has reported 5 new deaths from famine and malnutrition in the past 24 hours, including 2 children. This raises the total famine-related death toll to 322, with 121 of them children. Aid agencies continue to warn of worsening humanitarian conditions as access to food and medical supplies remains critically limited. Now we move on to the latest developments in Lebanon.
كل المستهدفين هن مدنيين.
وضع شيء مرعب، شيء بخوف.
The Lebanese army has entered a new phase of its plan to collect weapons from Palestinian camps, completing heavy arms handover in 6 camps, including Burj al-Barajna. The Lebanese army launched a new phase of its weapons collection plan Friday, deploying to Burj al-Barajna camp to receive arms from Fatah. Palestinian security officials confirmed the handover of heavy weapons from Burj al-Barajna, Shatila and Mar Ilyas, completing deliveries in 6 camps. The step follows a joint Lebanese-Palestinian agreement endorsed by President Mahmoud Abbas and Joseph Aoun, aimed at reinforcing state authority and improving security and living conditions in the camps. The Lebanese army says 2 soldiers were killed and 2 injured after an Israeli drone exploded in Ras al-Naqoura. Israeli cites a technical malfunction during a strike on Hezbollah targets. The Lebanese army confirmed 2 soldiers were killed and 2 others wounded when an Israeli drone exploded in Ras al-Naqoura area of southern Lebanon. An Israeli military spokesperson expressed regret, saying the incident resulted from a technical malfunction during an airstrike on Hezbollah infrastructure. The deadly incident adds to rising tensions along the Lebanese-Israeli border. French President Emmanuel Macron says a French envoy will visit Lebanon once its government approves the army's disarmament plan, urging Israel to hold violations in the South. French President Emmanuel Macron confirmed that a French envoy will visit Lebanon after the government approves the army's plan to control weapons possession. He called on Israel to withdraw from southern Lebanon violations to facilitate the plan's implementation. Macron added that preparations are underway for 2 conferences to support the Lebanese army and reconstruction efforts, signaling France's commitment to backing Lebanon's stability.
Mais de la même manière, pas de discussion sur la sécurité des Européens sans eux. Au fond, notre volonté demain, c'est de présenter un front uni.
Lebanon's health ministry says 1 person was killed in an Israeli drone strike on Aita al-Shab, a town in the country's south. Lebanon's health ministry confirmed 1 person was killed following an Israeli drone strike on the southern town of Aita al-Shab. The incident comes amid ongoing Israeli attacks across southern Lebanon, intensifying tensions along the border. No further details were provided on the victim's identity or conditions of nearby areas. The UN Security Council has unanimously approved a French-drafted resolution extending the UNIFIL mission in Lebanon until the end of 2026, marking its final mandate. The UN Security Council has voted unanimously to extend the mandate of the United Nations Interim Force in Lebanon, UNIFIL, until the end of 2026. The decision, based on a French-drafted resolution, grants the peacekeeping force 1 additional year to operate along Lebanon's southern border. The Council described this as the final extension of the mission, underlying the need for a long-term security framework.
Voluntary contributions to the MSS Trust Fund remain essential, but assessed support would ensure impact and sustainability.
The Israeli army says it attempted to assassinate senior Houthi officials, including the group's chief of staff and defense minister, during strikes on Sana'a. The Israeli military announced it targeted senior Houthi officials in airstrikes on the Yemeni capital Sana'a. According to the army, the strikes aimed to assassinate the Houthi chief of staff, the defense minister, and other senior figures after intelligence indicated they were meeting in the city. No confirmation was provided on whether the targets were killed. Moving on to Russia, and Russia criticized French President Emmanuel Macron for calling Vladimir Putin an ogre at our gates, saying the comment was indecent for a head of state. Russia has strongly condemned remarks by French President Emmanuel Macron, who described Vladimir Putin as an ogre at our gates during a recent interview. Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova said Macron frequently makes statements that cross the line of decency and amount to low-grade insults. The exchange adds to growing tensions between Moscow and Paris over France's support for Ukraine.
Но это недостойно главы государства вот так отзываться о стране. Мы видим постоянно какие-то странные.
China has launched its first 8K movie shot in space, Shenzhou 13, filmed by astronauts during a 6-month mission and set to premiere nationwide on September 5th. China has unveiled its first 8K movie filmed in space, titled Shenzhou 13, produced by China Media Group. The film features footage captured by astronaut Zai Gang Wang Yaping and Yi Guangfu during their 6-month stay aboard the Chinese space station. It offers unprecedented views of space and daily life in orbit. The groundbreaking project, shot using domestically developed ultra-high-definition cameras, will premiere across China on September 5th. An immersive version of The Wizard of Oz premiered at Las Vegas Sphere, with stars Britta May and Eddie Falco attending the high-tech event. Las Vegas Sphere hosted the premiere of an immersive version of the Hollywood classic The Wizard of Oz. Guests included Queen guitarist Brian May, actor Eddie Falco, and Lum Luft, daughter of Judy Garland, who played Dorothy in the 1939 film. The reimagined version, created over 2 years with the help of AI and a team of more than 2,000 people, transforms the movie for the venue's massive wrap-around screen, blending nostalgia with cutting-edge technology.
Joe, right up top, right.
Istituto Vida Livre in Rio de Janeiro has spent 10 years rescuing and treating wild animals from urban dangers and illegal trafficking, preserving biodiversity. Brazilian NGO Istituto Vida Livre, founded by Bush Saber as part of his master's project, has been rescuing and rehabilitating wild animals for a decade. The organization works with authorities to save animals from urban hazards and illegal trafficking, giving them a second chance its mission to protect fauna and preserve biodiversity has received formal endorsement from the Brazilian government.
Eu sou muito medrosa, tá? Vai ficar relaxado. Ela tá até posando para uma foto, tá até dela. Aí, ó.
That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Here is what we've been covering. Egypt's foreign minister says Cairo working to de-escalate Middle East tensions, focus on Palestinian crisis. Turkey ends all commercial ties with Israel, bans ships and aircraft trade. And Russia criticizes Macron for calling Putin an ogre at our gates and calls the remark indecent. This concludes our news bulletin for the hour. Don't forget to follow Qnews on YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram and TikTok. Qnews EGY to stay informed. Thanks for watching and good night.